What's up, everybody? I'm Reggie Williams, founder and CEO of Ambrosia For Heads, and welcome to On the Record, where we talk to guests about their current music. And today, I have the distinct privilege of talking to a man who's been involved in terms of music with some of the greatest artists in the world. As an A&R executive at Loud Records, he worked on albums with Big Pun, Exhibit, Mobb Deep, Dead Prez, just to name a few. As a producer, he's made some of my favorite records by artists like Jay-Z, Black Thought, Clipse, Alicia Keys. I could go on. This man was a founding member of the X-Ecutioners, the legendary DJ collective, started off as the X-Men. And he is a connective tissue behind all the releases of Mass Appeal's Legend Has It series. So that's Slick Rick, Raekwon, Ghostface Killah, Big L, De La Soul, Mobb Deep, and of course, Nas and DJ Premier. I'm talking about a man that I can call my friend, which might be the biggest honor, Sean C.
Damn, that was a great intro.
Thank you, bro.
That was a really good intro.
Thank you, bro.
Appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you for being here, man.
Thank you, man, for having me.
Yo, so like I said, man, this is a show where we talk about new music, but I think because of who you are, we really need to let people who might not know have a little context as to how it was that you became the A&R person who brought so many great albums this year to the world. So, can you talk about what an A&R does?
The textbook definition is, it's artist and repertoire is what it stands for. And, you're really the one that finds the talent, and you nurture the talent. Artist development can be a part of it. I'd like to say that that's a big part of it for me. But you make sure that the record gets done, and you create those situations to make to get the artist's vision out.
Okay.
The best way possible. So if it's finding beats, putting him in with him or her in with a specific producer, or finding studios as well, and being aware of the budget as well, and just trying to. For me, it's about getting the vision out the best way possible.
Okay, so you make the whole thing happen.
Yeah, well, yeah,
with the artist, of course.
With the artist, of course, and it'll, and it's different for each artist, because some artists lean more on the A&R than others do. Some are just, they kind of self-contained. Like you said, like I can't take credit for everything that an artist does because it's their vision. I just try to create the situation that brings that vision.
So what are some of the albums you've A&R'd back in the day?
Capital Punishment for Big Pun.
Okay.
Yeah Baby for Big Pun and Dave. All the Pun albums, let's say that. Hell on Earth. That was like my first A&R credit along with Matty C and Scott Free at Loud. Yeah, those guys brought me. That was my first experience as an A&R. I wasn't really trying to be an A&R, but let me finish the list first. That I can remember. Then what else did I? Dead Prez.
Let's Get Free.
Huh?
Let's
Get Free and RBG.
Okay.
Both of those. What else? Damn, so you put me on the spot.
Exhibit.
Well, I didn't do Exhibit's whole album, so I have A&R credit on one of Exhibit's records on his Restless album.
Gotcha.
Because actually, I was working on a Loud album, right? So it's MOP's on that record with Exhibit.
Yep.
And I was going to do a Loud, crew, like a label album, not so much a compilation, but with the artists on each other's records and just we were going to make one record. And it didn't happen, and that was the first record that I did. And I think Loud might have closed before I got to finish it. I can't, it was so long ago. But I was going to put Mobb and Ray and this, things that they did, just make it like a crew, right? Yeah. A crew album. And that record, I think it's called Brooklyn to LA, I think it's called. LA to BK or something like that. That was one of the records that I had gotten made, and since it didn't happen, Exhibit put it on his album. Who else am I forgetting about A&R wise? Oh, Terror Squad record with Lean Back, Pharoahe, Monch, Desire.
That's a crazy list.
I'm forgetting.
Yeah, that's crazy enough. Yeah. So you were saying, how did you get into this? Because you said you didn't really want to like be an A&R. Like, so how did you? Get into it?
I just so I was an intern at Loud, and the way that I became an intern was through a personal story of me going through some obstacles and trying to figure out a new life plan. Like you said, I started off as a DJ, founding member of the X-Ecutioners. Also, Fat Man Scoop is my best friend. We were in a group together that was signed to Teddy Riley, way back. And we
What's the name of that group?
I don't even want to say it.
You got to give it up now.
The name is crazy. It's crazy. Oh, we were the Biz Boys.
The Biz Boys.
And then we were Three with Soul at one point.
Okay.
So it was me, Fat Man Scoop, and Steve D, and then me, Fat Man Scoop, and Rock Raider as a group outside of the X-Men DJ collective. Okay. So that was like the rap group outside of that.
You were on the mic too?
No. It was two DJs and a rapper because we learned under Dougie Fresh. We came under the Dougie Fresh school. So that's why Scoop was so influenced by, he learned how to rock the crowd and all that stuff from watching Doug.
Gotcha.
I learned how to DJ from Barry B, watching Barry B.
Okay.
And Chill Will gave me my first MPC drum. Actually, it was an ASQ-10 before the MPC. But I learned how to produce from Chill Will. He's the one that taught me the studio and everything. Okay. So we were students of the Get Fresh crew. And so that's why we had the two DJ dynamic, because they had two DJs. So, we had the same thing. Personally, I had some health issues. I went through cancer for a while, and I was still making beats, and damn, I don't know if I should tell the whole story because it's a long story, but because once I start talking about one thing, I forget that I didn't give the backstory to this other thing. But long story short, after I had to sit down for a little while, I was figuring out a plan. What am I going to do? I could die. Like, what if I died? I didn't get to where I wanted, to get to. So I came up with a plan to intern at a record label. And I was like, this way, I could get beats off to the artists, and I could get a check. It didn't matter if it was, I wasn't looking at like trying to get a lot of money. It was really just the plan of like having steady income, because I also was a single father. My son was a baby. I had to take care of him.
Going through it.
Yeah. So I was like, well, I could get, now I couldn't work because I had cancer, but I was like, I can't let life, defeat me, and this illness defeat me. So I came with the plan, went in as an intern just to get beats off, and then was like, oh, if I get a job as an A&R, that'd be cool, but my ultimate plan is to just be a producer that I am.
Yeah.
And during that process, I learned A&R from just being there. I mean, because it was things that just come natural because I'm a DJ producer. So that is what naturally, how to make records naturally came to me. What dope beats are dope naturally came to me. Like rapping, knowing what somebody's verse is ill or not naturally came to me. And one day, Matty C and Scott, Matty called me in the office, in the A&R office, and he was like, yo, I heard that you was like the original member of the X-Ecutioners. And I said, yeah. And you did this. We had also had a crew of producers, myself, Rock Raider, and Nobody. We were making beats, and we had given Dame Dash a beat for his new artist that he had. He was working on, because he lived across the street from Nobody. And it turned into Can't Knock the Hustle.
Yeah. And
that record actually came out while I was an intern at Loud.
Okay.
In like the mailroom.
They were like, "Why didn't you bring him here?"
And no, they didn't say. He didn't say that, because I had no power. I was like flying under the radar, knowing what my plan was and knowing how it would turn out because of who I was. And when Matty found out who I was, and he's like, "You got that Jay-Z record?" They told me, and then Rob Tulo from Atlantic, we had meetings with him, so I knew him. And he's like, "Rob told me you play the beats and artists," and He said, "Do me a favor, bro. Don't go to the mailroom anymore. You're in the A&R department."
Oh, okay.
So that's how I ended up in the A&R
That's
department.
super dope.
Yeah.
So Can't Knock the Hustle, man, might be. So Jay is like probably my GOAT. You know what I mean? And Can't Knock the Hustle might be my favorite Jay song of all time. It's Reasonable Doubt, you know.
Right.
And, you know, but you've also worked with Black Thought, so, you know, tell me some of the artists that you produced over the years, too.
Wow. So I've Jadakiss, Alicia Keys, Clipse, Jay-Z a bunch of times, Fab, G-Dep, Linkin Park with the X-Ecutioners, Pharoahe, I'm forgetting, Joey Badass.
Yeah.
Worked with Ferg just last year on some stuff. I'm forgetting some people. I know there's a lot. There's a lot of people.
Beyond Can't Knock the Hustle, I mean, these Jay records are critical records, you know, so Rock Boys and like half of the joints on American Gangster.
Yeah, we did most of American Gangster. We did 6 or 7 songs on the album. Yeah.
And then my personal favorite solo Black Thought release, Streams of Thought, Volume 3.
Yep.
You did that whole project, right?
Yeah, that's me and him. That's part of the Streams of Thought series where he was doing a project with the producer. So he did, first was Ninth Wonder, then Salam, and then me. So I did Volume 3.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's why I call you the 8th legend, and the legend has it. You know what I mean? Like, yeah.
Well, Tariq is that's family. That's my friend. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Even you know, we actually became really cool because of Pun through on Capital Punishment. He did Super Lyrical. He's on Super Lyrical.
Yeah.
And I mean, this happens all the time now, but back then it was unusual for you to not be in the studio with the artist. So for some reason, Pun couldn't make it to the studio. So I was at the studio with Tariq while Tariq was laying his verse. I think Maddie was there too. I think it was me and Maddie and Tariq. We were in Battery Studios, and I just got Pun on the phone, and Pun was like, "Yeah, just rhyme my last word." And you know, so me and Tariq, after that day, we became cool, and every time, you know, I would go to Roots shows, and then we just.
So y'all coming up on almost 30 years now. Then.
Yeah, we've been friends.
That's crazy. That's deep. Yeah. All right, so you know, you're gonna have to put your friendships aside because I want to know, since you work with so many greats, who are your top 5 MCs?
Oh man, Jesus. I'm gonna say, not in any order, but Big, Nas, Jay, Slick Rick. I had a 5th one. Big J, Nas, Slick Rick. Rakim.
Yeah. Okay, no Tariq.
Oh well, yeah.
No offense, right? Like, I mean, you can't be mad at any. You can't be mad at any. You can't be mad at any of those picks.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? He would
true.
probably name those dudes too. You know, so.
But you know the reason I say all 5 of those rappers they all came in and did something totally different than the other did. I mean, the only ones that are close to each other would be Nas and Rakim, but Rakim broke brand new ground on the way he approached. The way he made us think. He's the first rapper to do that. Slick Rick, I give him the same description, similar description that I give De La, which is Rick is one of the bravest MCs ever because he rapped different than anyone ever. Yeah. Right? He started a trend of storytelling. He wasn't the first to do storytelling because Kaz and other people were.
Melly Mel.
And all those people. But he made it a thing, right? And his rap style became a thing where other people started rapping like him. Now, you had to have a story record on all of your records. He also was the first vulnerable rapper. Right? Like, The Moment I Feared, he talks about getting robbed and then going to jail. And you know what I mean? Like, no rapper ever did that before. His fashion, the way he looked, all of that stuff was just like brand new. Big, I think, is probably the most versatile rapper, period. when it comes to
hardcore, mainstream.
Yeah, and not
R&B.
sounding like, okay, yo, we got to make a girl record. And then you make a girl record, and you make a hard record, and you make a club record. Most rappers that do that, a lot of times it doesn't sound cohesive. It sounds like they're trying to do something that they're not. And he was very, very effortless, and it all still sounded like him, regardless of what kind of record he did. It still sounded like him. And he's the master of less is more.
Right.
Where he would take words out and put you in that scenario. You know what I mean? Like, I always say one of my favorite lines, which is the simplest line, it's not even really a lyric, but on Victory when he's like, oops, Cristal keeps spilling shit. Right? Most rappers would have been like, I'm in the booth with the Cristal while I'm rhyming or whatever. You know what I mean? Like, he said, oops, Cristal keeps spilling shit, and you saw it was just self-explanatory.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, maybe he's drinking while he's, you know what I mean, rapping. Like,
he made movies.
Yeah, he made movies.
Yeah.
And then Nas is the most, he's the poet. And the way that he put a scenario together from a story to, like, you know, creating things, saying things like sleep is the cousin of death. Like, you know, those are lines that are now in the pantheon of what we say. You know what I mean? Of like thinking about those kind of things. Like
Ozark made an episode off it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. He's like the deepest, you know, most poetic rapper, I would say. You know what I mean?
And what about Jay?
Oh, and Jay, I think, like, when I think about somebody that was able to make hustling poetic and to make, I mean, you can go either way with this or however you feel about capitalism, right? But he is a capitalist, right? And a dreamer, but he did that in a way that was still, that took the talent. It still was like talent first, but giving you all of these aspirations and all of these things that he wanted to do or that he could do and actually did them. And, you know, the line, you know, I've kept feeding the money till shit started to make sense. Like, that shit is like, you know what I mean? So, yeah, I would say those are my, you know, and then I guess I got, for honorable mention, I got to say Black Thought. Because, and not even honorable mention, but if I got to give
5A.
You know, 5A or whatever order, it's not really in order. Tariq is the purest MC, period.
Gotcha.
Because he actually has he's the example of more than 10,000 hours and rapping. He probably is the rapper that raps the most out of any rapper in history that is successful. You know, like he rhymes every day on Fallon. You know what I mean? And if you do that, like, the exercise is just going to be, you're going to be incredible at what you do if you do it every day. And before Fallon, they were the most touring group. So he always was rhyming. You know what I mean? Probably performing more than any other rapper. His breath control is incredible. The mechanics of putting words together and actually rhyming, Tariq is probably better than anyone, period. You know what I'm saying? So
you talk about Jay and capitalism and the dream. Like, I know one of the records you worked on was American Dreamin', right? From American Gangster. Was that a vision that you had for him? Like, or,
it's a
you know,
good segue, man. That was dope. Oh no, what happened with that record is interesting. So that record, we had that beat already. That was the last record to get done on American Gangster. And he loved that beat, but he did not have, he had another verse that he had in his head. Basically, a whole song was called "This Shit Right Here." I think he said it on a freestyle somewhere. It's like I've seen him say it. This shit right here, make you want to someone that's on your fly gear. You swear. It was like that was the flow, and he was like, "Yo, I got this song in my head, and I love this beat, but I don't think they're married to each other." So we didn't think that that song was gonna make the album because, and was the last one, and we didn't think it was gonna make it because he didn't have that. Then one day, he just sent over. He was like, "Yo, I figured it out." He sent over the American Dreamin' joint. So it wasn't. I mean, that's based on the movie.
Yeah.
So there isn't like, we didn't give him a vision for whatever he wanted,
But the movie kind of like embodied his life.
The movie embodied him. Yeah. So it came from the from the film.
Okay, so you mentioned Slick Rick and Nas, two of whom are in this Legend Hazard series. How did you get involved with that series, and what was it like to work with dudes you grew up kind of like idolizing?
So we have a company called Principles, which you're very aware of.
Very much so. Yeah.
My partner Daniel Glogauer and a bunch of other people, we all specialize in different things. And Daniel has a relationship with Peter and Mass Appeal, and they needed someone to kind of help them or just add on to the vision that they had for Legend Hazard. They had, these 7 artists that they had to get these 7 albums in on. Some were started, some were really close to being done, and others hadn't. Well, most of them kind of had started already. All of them actually. And we have performance marketing in our company, and I am the music guy that does all the, that's what I do. Yeah. So they approached me he was like, it might be a perfect fit for, if we got involved and helped out with ideas, and Sean helped out on the A&R side to bring in these records, because out of all of those artists, I had a relationship with almost all of those artists outside of, I've met Nas before, but I didn't have a relationship with him. Produced a record for the Untitled album that didn't end up happening, but I didn't have a relationship with Nas, and I didn't know Rick, but I was Mobb Deep's A&R. I produced records for Ghost. I was at Loud with Raekwon, produced records for Raekwon. So I had that relationship, and then I had known Paz from De La. We hadn't worked together, but I knew him. So I had the relationship there that could help bring these things to fruition, and the fact and that is my skill set. You know what I mean? So that's basically how it happened. And through the and I want to say this too, there's 7 albums, but I really did 6 of them because Nas and Premier, that's a self-contained thing. It's not much I can, you know what I mean? You're gonna do on that. I came in towards the end and said you gave a couple comments,
couple notes here and there.
Yeah, but
still take that credit, man.
Yeah, but I just want to be, that's Nas and Primo's baby. You know what I mean? They kept it tight.
I feel you. It's crazy because when the announcement first came, we were one of the few not to post about the announcement, because I've been around long enough to see the okie doke happen again and again and again. You know what I mean? Where 7 becomes 2, becomes 1, becomes none.
Yeah.
And so the fact that you were able to pull together 7 albums in a year with such big personalities and disparate functions is crazy. You get massive kudos just for the execution alone, but the fact that they're all so dope is crazy. So have you, now that the final one's dropping, have you sat back and reflected on what you've accomplished yet?
Now, I'm very grateful that I was able to be in the room and help some of these guys get their vision out. You know what I mean? You don't want to beat your chest about someone else's art, because that's, I didn't make those records.
Yeah.
I produced on the Ghost record, which is a joint that he had already from me, because I had produced. Ghost was somebody I didn't mention as I produced. So produced a lot of Ghost records in the past. So we did a lot of Ghostface records. So that was one that he had already had, was the Candyland joint. But yeah, it does feel good to have been a part of whatever my contribution was to people saying one of the best years in hip hop in a long time. And I'm thankful that Mass Appeal and Peter and Nas trusted me to come in and do what I do. And
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, but but it's theirs.
Yeah, of course. But it's a shared thing.
Yeah,
it's a shared thing. I'm gonna keep giving you your flowers until you take them. Till you take them. You know?
I can't take from Alchemist and Havoc. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like,
of course. So Nas is on every one of these albums, and you helped with most, like sprinkles here and there. But what would you say is a connective tissue between these albums, if any?
It's interesting that the connective tissue is kind of just like the integrity of who those artists are. You know what I'm saying? So that something that everyone is like, I think Nas picked the proper artists for this campaign. Like everybody that came out in that era couldn't have been in this. You know what I mean? In this Legend Has It thing.
Why you say that?
I mean, it's just something about, like, you think about it. Mobb hadn't had a record out since P died. De La, same thing. They hadn't had a record out since Dave died. Ghost was doing Supreme Clientele 2. Ray hadn't put a record out in a while. This was him standing on a fresh soil. You know what I mean? Where, he's healthy, he's just got married, he's got, you know what I'm saying? Rick hadn't put a record out in 35 years. Big L was there hadn't been a Big L record either.
Yeah.
Since I can't even remember when that last Big L record came out. And
so
and then
each one was a moment.
Yeah, then Nas and Primo was something everyone's been waiting for. So each project was significant in that artist's career that made it interesting for people to be involved.
So you had relationships with
people to buy that record.
You had relationships with Ray and Ghost and Havoc before. How important is it to have a relationship with an artist going into making a record, and how do you establish one with artists that you don't have one with yet?
For me, I don't know how to tell people how to do things. You know what I'm saying?
But I mean, how do you?
Yeah, but for me, it's just like I said, I'm very much about creating the helps you get your art out in the best way possible. And I'm not the A&R guy that is like, yo, rap over this beat and do this and then do that and do this and do that, because then that creates a pushback, sometimes, not all the time. But I'd rather just create the situation most of the time. And even as a producer, like if I play beats, I usually don't listen to my joints. If something's happening, I might just play something while.
Yeah.
And if it stops the room, then it's something. You know what I mean? So even if it's me or someone else, it's just like playing music, and if the music grabs you, that's what you want. You get your honest reaction. Shouldn't really have to ask people what they think about music, right? So I usually never say, yo, tell me what you think about this.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
I just play music, and then
he'll tell you.
And then he's going to tell me if it's good, then he's going to tell me or not. Yeah. So that is, it's a lot of psychology in the kind of the way that I work with artists. It's interesting that a lot of the artists that I've worked with, I became friends with as well. So yeah, that's kind of the way that I try to make everything as organic as I can. And I think because of who I am, I'm a hip hop dude. You know what I mean? I don't think anybody could ever test that I'm not authentically. Your the only thing I never did was the beatbox.
Yeah.
So I think people trust my word, and I'm a man of my word. So in any situation, I keep my word. So that is the principle. Those are the principles that I stand on, and that's relative to everything that I do. You know what I mean?
So which one of these was the easiest to make, and which one was the hardest?
Man, I don't know what was. It was interesting. The Ghost record was difficult because he was on tour. So we had to go back and forth, and Ghost is really particular about everything. So that took a lot of energy to get done because he was on tour during period of time when it was getting done and like mixes, okay, and mixes and samples and all of that kind of stuff. That became a little challenging. De La was probably it's probably the one that's the closest to me because I was going through personal things and my mom was dying at the same time while we were making this record.
Yeah.
And so that it actually made it, you know, say difficult, but it was therapeutic for me to go to the studio and rock with Prez and De La's. You know, when I make that list of, you know, I said our top 5 or my favorite rappers, my favorite groups, De La is in that. And I learned so much from just listening to them, you know what I mean, and being brave. Like I said, they were the first to do what they did, and there was no other ground. There was nothing in front of them to give them the blueprint of what they did. They just did it, and they made it cool to be yourself. So and then the construction of those records and the way those records were made with skits and the records going into each other and, you know, conceptual albums, like that's something that they kind of really brought to them in Public Enemy, you know what I mean, like brought to the forefront. So that was personal to me, and I would say it was probably, I don't say the easiest, but it was the most inviting because of what I was going through personally. And Paz and Mace were both going through a similar thing, that they had just lost their brother. I had lost my mother, and like 9 months before that, I lost Scoop. So I was still going through this whole grieving thing for that year.
And Clark,
Clark was really, really close to me as well. You know, so that album helped me kind of deal with that.
Yo, it's crazy because some of your greatest professional triumphs have come in years where you've had your most trying, like personal situations. You know what I mean?
That is.
You think that's connected?
That's a very interesting thing that you said, because I actually, you know, I was just saying to someone that the De La record is so close to me because of all of those different layers, and it feels great that it's out and people are receiving it, and I still listen to it. You know what I'm saying? Like I've heard that record a million times. You know what I mean? But I still listen to it. And but I never thought about, you know, the beginning part as well. Like I knew, like you said, you know, when I had cancer, everything started going. Once I figured out a plan, everything started working out for me. And I knew that the only reason I had cancer was because I wasn't following the path that I was supposed to be on, right? And once I figured out, oh, this is where I'm supposed to be, this is what I'm supposed to do, everything was like, and it was great. So I guess, I never put those two things together. The story's still being written. For sure. Hopefully, you know, it doesn't come at that cost. But but you know, there's always it's life. Like, you know what I mean? You're gonna have those, regardless of what, you're gonna run into. As much as things get really, really, you know, when things are really great, there's gonna be a time when it's gonna not be great. So you just gotta try to make the times that aren't great shorter. And absorb the time, like while everything's good, prepare for the times that cannot be great, and build up your character. You know what I'm saying?
So 3 of those albums had people who were no longer here, right? So Big L, and then Dave, and then Prodigy, obviously, right? So how was it different working on those albums when you had, you know, I know Mobb, there's a lot of Prodigy material to work with. But, you know, Big L, not so much. Dave, it didn't seem like a lot. So how did you kind of navigate those challenges?
I mean, that's more of a, with L, Mike Heron was the lead on that project. I kind of Mike I've known for years. So it was initially, it was going to be you know, it's funny because you see some of the some people love the album, and then some people have the criticism that, oh, we heard those verses before. I saw someone say, oh, they should have just re-released all of the verses. And it's like, whatever you would have done, people would have been upset, right? I think my biggest contribution was, you know, adding a couple people to the record, but then also in conversations with Mike saying to him, I think you should, because he was gonna do that, and I was like, really? I think you should make like a record, you know what I mean? And no, actually, it was the same situation. Mike was Mike was the artist in this sense, where I kind of just was like, word, that's what you want to do? All right. Okay. And then he called me back like, yo, I think I want to. I feel like you're disappointed. So that's how that turned into what it turned into. You know, and then I kind of helped him along with that. But yeah, you know, a lot of those records, I think the ones with people missing, like, you know, on De La, there's no beats on that album that Dave didn't rhyme over.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, there was no switing of the beats. That was
But it's just like 3 or 4 songs.
Yeah, it's only he's on, and and 2 of them or whatever, he made the beat. You know,
You Don't Stop and
You Don't Stop. Yeah, he's on the hook. He made that beat. Don't Push Me. He made that beat. So, and then the other ones was Pete and Dave West, but he rapped over those. You know what I mean? And Mobb may have has a similar situation as well, where Prodigy rapped over a lot of those beats, and those beats are also, and those songs, like, it's not just a hook and just a verse that was plugged in. It's like a verse and a hook that he did, so it sounds cohesive. There's a couple records where the beats were changed up, but I think Al and Have, being that they all have that connection to him, and he rapped over their beats while he was alive. They knew what pocket to put him in.
Yeah, I saw an interview with them, and one of them said that they really started with him and built the songs around him instead of the other, and trying to fit him in on songs they created.
Exactly. Exactly.
So De La started off, originally it was going to be Premium Soul on the Rocks, just produced by Pete Rock and DJ Premier. How did that one open up to other producers?
Because we had a session with everybody, where, like, for a couple days, and everybody was playing each other's albums, and Paz was like, called me, I think, I want to say I don't know if it was the last day of those sessions, but he called me a couple days like into it or whatever, and I was like, yo, I think I want to, like, spread it out and not pause and not have it just be Pete and Preem, because I got these other things that I want to do, and I think it might pigeonhole it if we just make it just Pete and Preem. And then this connects to what we just talked about, which is that each one of those, the records that Dave rhymed on, he rhymed over those beats. And Preem and Pete didn't do all of those beats, so he would have to switch out beats too. Right. So that's how it changed into that. And then I was like, so what's the concept going to be? And he's like, it's going to come to me. It's going to come to me. And it was interesting watching how Paz and Mace, and how Paz is such a, like, conceptual dude. Like, I've never seen anyone make a record out of all the people that I've worked with, make an album, like, almost in sequence. You know, so it's not where it's, you know, he may hear a beat, think the beat's dope, but the first thing he is thinking about is, where does it fit in the album and in the sequence, right? What does it come after? What is it, you know? So when we're recording, he's like, this okay, I need a song to come after Day in the Sun. Or I need a song to come after Young. He's like, I know he knows, like, because everything is a mood. So that's the first thing he says. He said, but where does it fit? I played him a couple of things, or he's played things, and then like, yo, you should use that. He's like, but where do we put it?
Yeah, that's crazy. That's
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's always the full thought when it comes to how he makes the records. Like even down to like, when we at the end of a session, usually, let me get a bounce of the song to listen to. And he gets a bounce of the entire sequence in one file, right? Like one file is the entire album. So he can hear how the songs go into each other. So each day when we're in there and we're doing something new, it's like, okay, make a bounce of like add this to the sequence now, or add this. And he mapped out the whole record, like all the vocals, everything. Like he did the whole Giancarlo intro himself.
Oh wow, okay.
Like he recorded all the voices, like even the students, even
wow.
Q-Tip, everybody, all the responses.
The whole reference.
Had a reference for everything. So Giancarlo's speech was written by him, and the responses were written. He was like, but this is just a reference. You can say what you want when you want to respond, but this is what I was thinking.
Yeah.
So, and then every time something gets added, he just take out a voice.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, it was genius.
Yeah. So you help get producers. One of the things that made Illmatic so special back in the day is because it was one of the first albums to have a team of super producers work on it. So if you could make an album with any 5 producers you wanted, and you can, if you want to choose an artist or whatever, you can, but if any 5 producers you wanted, who would they be?
Wow. Now, like in this, like right.
It does, yeah, but from any era, and it can even be dead or alive.
You know what I'd be interested in hearing? I don't know if this is answering the question, but when I thought about the producers, I was thinking about Larry Smith, and I'd be interested to hear what Larry Smith would have been if he stayed healthy, if he would have been able to still, like, what kind of music he would make, if he still would even be making music.
That's crazy you say that, because 2 weeks ago, Eric Sermon was sitting where I'm sitting, and he put Larry Smith in his top 5 producers, and we talked about Larry Smith extensively. That's crazy. That's
I wonder what he would be like, because he started a lot of trends, you know what I mean, the musicality of what he did, but still hip hop, you know. So that just made me think about Larry Smith. But I mean, I guess you're gonna say any producers, any genre too.
Whatever you want.
So I would say Barry White.
Okay. Pete Rock was here. He said that last week. Yeah.
I would say Barry White, James Brown. Like James Brown's fucking the best, bro. But on the hip hop side, you know who I really like that I would is Soundwave. Who does all the
like, TDE stuff, and
TDE stuff.
Super dope. Yeah,
he's super dope, and people, I don't think, maybe it's just the algorithm, or maybe it's just the generations, but I don't hear people talk about him as much as I feel like he deserves to get talked about. Like Soundwave's super dope, man. He's like it doesn't sound dated. It doesn't sound, well, I'm not gonna say dated. It doesn't sound like I think someone that comes from a hip hop purist perspective could still see the elements of him just being a great producer. You know what I mean? Drums are smacking, but then he's not trying to make it. He's not trying to make some old sounding music.
He's another musical dude. You like producers who are really musical.
Yeah, I think he's super dope. Soundwave is dope. Of course, I mean Dre. Dre is the king. And Pharoahe and those guys. Who else? I'm trying to think of more of the the other guy who's super dope is a couple dudes from Seattle, like Jake One and Vitamin D. Like those dudes are incredible. Who else? I'm definitely forgetting some people. Soundtrack is dope.
Yeah.
who's who works with Ninth a lot. Who else?
All right, that's a good list. That's a good list.
Okay, yeah. I was trying not to just say, okay, Pete, Preem. I said Dre, like the usual suspects. I mean, and those all those dudes are my guys. You know what I mean? But I wanted to try to think of some people that aren't really getting the love that they, you know what I'm saying, that they deserve.
All right, so let's take a pause from the Legends Has It series for a minute.
Thank you.
One of the things I love to do, man, is really celebrate the foundation of the culture, the elements of hip hop. And you already kind of laid this talking about how you did everything except for beatboxing. You know what I mean? So I want to talk a little bit about your X-Ecutioner days, like the X-Men days. Like, how did that collective form? And just tell me more about that.
So we were, like I said, I came up under Barry B, right? Barry B was like the best DJ ever to me. Barry B and Master Don who made Funkbox, right? Master Don actually is the first person that I've ever seen DJ do anything hip hop when I was a little kid. I used to live on 145th Street, and Master Don, I think he was in Drew Hamilton or whatever, which is on 40th Street, but he would bring his equipment out on my block, and there was this like game room pinball place called Fly Guys. Probably was a coke spot back then. I was a kid, you know what I mean? And that's the first time I remember looking at him, and I was like, this was when I first got enamored by hip hop. He's my first memory of seeing anything hip hop.
That's crazy.
And I would just stand in front of the ropes and just stare at him and stare at what he was doing. And
what year is this around?
I don't know.
70s, 80s?
This is probably early 80s, late 70s, something like that. Yeah. Probably late 70s, early 80s. And he named me Sean C.
Oh yeah? Okay.
He said, he was like, he used to see me all the time in front of the ropes, and he was like, "What's your name, shorty?" And I said, "Sean." And he's like, "Sean C in the house." He said my name on the mic, and then that was my name. From there, I changed my name as I got older. I just ended up going back to Sean C. Yeah. But yeah, so I'm giving you that because Barry B and Macedon battled each other. I was so torn because I loved Barry B. Once I started getting all of the old school tapes, and I would listen to Barry cutting, and I would try to emulate. That's how I learned how to DJ, just listening to those tapes. Like, no one actually sat me down and taught me how to DJ. I just would listen to his tapes and try to do what he's doing.
Oh, wow.
Right? And once I had gotten turntables, I got my mother to buy me turntables. I got turntables, and I would just try to do everything he's doing. And when I was like 14 or whatever, I started going uptown on my own because I lived on 110th, and Barry and Raw Bass and all of those, Easy Rock and all those dudes were in Lincoln Projects and St. Nick Projects, like back and forth. So I would go up there, and there was a group of people my age, that we were all younger, of course, that had the same affinity that I did, and it was rappers and DJs. It was DMD, Johnny Cash, and Steve D, and I would go up there and just watch. We would watch DJs, and we would DJ at Easy Kid's house or wherever. I might be skipping. It's so crazy. It's such an ill story. But Rock Raider lived across the street from me in Forster Projects. I was in Schaumburg. So Schaumburg's on 110th, Forster's on 112th. And there was a guy named MC Sergio. He brought Raider to my house one day. Said, I want you to meet this kid. I named him Rock Raider. He's nice. And Raider's 2 years younger than me. So he came to my house every day after that. And I was like, let me see what you got. I was like, that's cool. It's my room though. And he would just keep coming to my house. And then I took him uptown, and we met everybody met all the other DJs, and we created this thing called the X-Men. I gave you the super long story. But
it's all good. We got time, man.
Yeah, but to get to how we got to the name, the X-Men, Steve D, who was a member of us, the X-Men. No, wait. Before we named it the X-Men, Clark Kent had the Superman. We used to go to battles and see all the Supermen. And that's when we were like, and me, I'm way different than I was when I was younger. I was like super loud and just like kind of obnoxious with some things when it came to like my crew or whoever was. I was yelling like, Mike, fuck with us, fuck that, you know. Yeah. And I was like, fuck the Superman, we're gonna be the X-Men. Yeah. And that's how we turned into the X-Men. And then as time went on, like I said, I went through what was going on with me, and then they kept battling, and I ended up signing them to Loud when I became an A&R. They got a deal, and I still produced records. Like they had a deal with Asphodel as the X-Men. Then they couldn't use the X-Men, of course, so they changed the name to the X-Ecutioners. So yeah, that's kind of
30 years later, you got to deal with Marvel.
Yeah, exactly. So that's how it was, just battling. We used to battle crews and, and all that.
Yeah. So did you do Graph too?
Yeah, I used to write Mover 1.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. TNW, Totally Nasty World.
Yeah. All right, man. Listen, we like to present our guests with the Elements of Hip Hop collection.
Okay.
Elements of Hip Hop collection.
Thank you, man.
Hope you like that. Yep. But as a true student,
dope.
You got the elements.
Breaking. Yeah, I used to do a little electric boogie too, like everybody else. I'm sure you did.
Show the people.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Yeah, I did a little something.
Yeah,
I've been on the mic too. Like, there's one recording of me, in Connecticut somewhere.
Okay, I think everyone of a certain age, we all did everything at a certain point, and anyone that is actually in the hip hop industry in some sort of way, if they are not artists, they had tried to be an artist in some form or way at one point.
I was Kid Fresh.
Yeah, Kid. See? Yeah. So everyone had tried in a certain way. So then you got to respect that.
Yeah, for sure. Mm-hmm. All right, man. So, like I said, you're the eighth legend. Your career is incredible. You've worked with some of the greatest artists. But did you still have fan moments working with some of these guys in this series?
Oh, definitely. Still, like I said, just even being able to just hang with Nas and you know what I mean, and be around him was very inspiring, and talking and having incredible hip hop conversations. De La, like I said, I'm a super De La fan, so for me to be the executive producer of a De La Soul album means a lot to me. You know what I mean? Like that, I learned so much from those guys, and just got so much respect for all of them. Even knowing knowing Al from back then, from back in the 90s to now, and seeing where he what he's accomplished is it's dope to watch. You know what I mean? And Havoc asking me a question or whatever, and like it's just ill. Yeah, it's dope. It's like you still have, you know what I mean? Like I've known these guys for a long time, so it's some of it is just like we cool, but when you work in the industry and you're around these people that have changed the world with their music, you have to also still step out of it sometime and like be grateful that you're able to contribute what you can contribute to it. You know what I mean? In whatever way that is.
So you A&R'd Hell on Earth and then Infinite also. How did your style, how has your style changed over like that 28-year gap?
Well, Hell on Earth, I was like assistant A&R.
Okay.
Because I was just coming in. So it was like Maddie and Scott they had just done the Infamous album and done that. So like I said, I was a producer first. So I was really coming in like with, more from a producer perspective of like talking to him about the drums and you know what I mean, or asking, and I was still learning at that point. But that's my first credit. Well, actually, there's a record before that, but that's the one that counts. That's the one that really counts. And then, and like I said, Infinite was, that's Alchemist and Have. I could give some suggestions on sequencing and talk to Havoc early on we're talking about which songs and which advice, you know, what do you think should be on there? What, you know, not, but, you know, like I said, that's STEM.
Yeah.
I could just say, yeah, this, you know, there would be some records that were similar to others. It's like, well, you might not need this one if you got Gunfire. You might not need this if you got that. You know what I mean? So that's kind of how it did that record.
Okay. So I know you're not supposed to pick between your children, but do you have a favorite one of these albums?
Well, they not my children.
Yeah, not the MCs. I mean the albums.
Nah, I can't say what my favorite record is.
You told me in private. All good. All right.
I can't do that.
Yeah. So, as we wrap it up, man, people have been, you alluded to this earlier, people have been waiting for this Nas and DJ Premier album for like almost 30 years, or actually more than that, since Illmatic dropped, people have been calling for this. How do you meet expectations for something that's been so highly anticipated?
I can't really speak on the Nas and Primo album.
Yeah. But I mean, just generally, like, do you think it's like, is it being set up to have an impossible standard, or
I mean, I do think that when somebody, it's just like Detox, if you've been waiting for so long for it, it's like, will it reach those expectations? But I think it will. I think it will. Yeah,
I think so too. I'm excited about it. I think the Daylight album did too. You know what I mean? So what do you think this series has done for legacy, yours, hip hop's, and the artists?
I think this was the year that showed that you could do your art regardless of how old you are, as long as you're staying original and there's a fan base for it. Like we've all grown up with these artists and with this music, and just because you get to a certain age, it doesn't mean that you can't still make music. You know what I mean? You just have to evolve in what your subject matter is, and your sonics as well. You know what I mean? Like, I don't think you should be rapping about the same thing, or you should be, rhyming over the same beats you rhymed over. Like, it's just about timeless music in general. Like, really, it's not about trying to. And that's something that Tariq talked about a lot, because he's got a bunch of albums just in the can, just sitting there. And
I've heard.
And
I've actually heard.
Yeah.
So fire too. Oh my God.
Yeah. So I think that's what it's about. It's like, the Daylight records too. Like those records, some of those those Pete and Preem records are like 8 years old. Some of them. You know what I mean?
Still sounding great.
And it's still sounding great because you're not trying to follow a trend. You just make good music for whatever time it is. And I think that is what this was more about, was timeless music. I think that's kind of really what it is. It's just make good shit, man. You know what I mean? Just make good shit. Like, you want to be able to make music that, regardless, like if 18-year-old kid heard it and didn't know it was a 54-year-old rapper or whatever, it's still like, yo, what's that? Yeah. You know what I mean?
Yep. Well, you have definitely made a lot of good shit over the years, and this is a huge feather in that. But like you said, the chapter's not over yet. Yeah, so what's left for you? What's left for you musically that you haven't done yet?
Well, it's just about, like, right now, building the company, building principles up, and being creative and making more music. I haven't produced a record. I haven't been making beats actually since I've been doing these projects. So got to get back. I'm gonna get back in the dojo a little bit. Work with some younger artists as well.
You got anything in the chamber you want to talk about, or?
Nah, I'm just gonna get back. I mean, there's still like a lot of dope young artists out there. That kid Fergie Baby is dope. That kid. Was it Kai Cash is dope, Nico Brim, dope.
Nico Brim is
like, those guys are nice. There's a lot of young dudes out there that are doing it. You know what I mean? So I don't think it's. I think
know whose son Nico is, right?
Yeah. So I think the tide is. I don't want to say the tide is shifted because of Because, you know, the other thing that's interesting, though, is, and what I do wonder is how much that, you know, Clipse came out and all these other records came out, and we feel like this because it's our generation of rappers, but I wonder how much the younger people feel it as well.
They feel it.
And
they
what
feel it.
you know, I've seen post-unk rap and all. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I'm wondering if there'll be like a, you know, an opposite take on this thing where it's like, nah, it's time for us to just, you know, go. And it should be like, let's go.
There always is, man. You know, I've seen a lot of posts from younger cats on IG talking about, you know, the year the OGs took over, and not in a hateful way, like in a respectful way.
Right.
And I think you and I talked about this last year. I actually said that I thought that this was going to happen after the Kendrick Drake thing because they brought lyricism to the fore and they made it cool. And this year has manifested that. But to your point, next year it's going to be something different.
Yeah, it's going to be something different. But I do agree with you that the Kendrick Drake thing, that's a pivotal moment that shifted the tide in a lot of things. And I guess you know, everything is relative, and some things are affected by stuff that you wouldn't even guess. You know, so maybe that is part of what made this the perfect year for it, because it was the first time that we saw kids or a generation like paying attention. Not the first time, but in a long time. This generation, if a kid was 13, whenever man, it was like 2-3 years ago now, right?
Last year.
Last year was I thought it was 2 years ago. Okay. But whenever if you were 13 or whatever, those are your 13, 14, like is your kind of like formative music years. Like that's when you kind of start figuring out what you like.
Yeah.
And if you came up in that time, that, you know, that informed you that like lyrics or something.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And before that, it hadn't been that for a while.
Yeah.
So.
All right, so 10 years from now, you'll make another Legend Has a series with a whole new generation.
I can't take credit for creating Legend Has It. I cannot do
I'm gonna
that.
give you credit for having a real sizable part in it, man.
Well, I appreciate that, and I did have a part in it.
Yeah.
But I will say that you know, I didn't conceive the
listen,
idea.
shout out to Mass Appeal, shout out to Peter, shout out to Nas, shout out to Principles, y'all all did your
Principles
thing,
is what it's about. Principles and Mass Appeal, man.
And of course the artists.
Yes, without a doubt.